Howdy! Finally back to read. Oh, let's hope I can stay awake and everything is as it should be. Okay, I'm going to go back and read the last couple of sentences, I think, or a paragraph. Little by little, the busy men forgot the quiet, uncomplaining old mother who spent her years thinking of them, longing to see them and know their children, hoping they would one day remember how she loved them all and how solitary her life must be. Now and then they wrote or paid her a hasty visit, and all sent gifts of far less value to her than one loving look, 1 hour of dutiful, affectionate companionship. If you ever want me, send and I'll come, or if you ever need a home, remember the old place is here, always open, and you are always welcome, the good old lady said, but they never seemed to need her, and so seldom came that the old place evidently had no charm for them. It was hard, but the sweet old lady bore it patiently and lived her lonely life quietly and usefully, with her faithful maid Dolly to serve and love and support her. Kate's mother, her one daughter, had married young, gone to England, and dying early had left the child to its father and his family. Among them, little Kate had grown up knowing scarcely anything of her American relations, until she was left an orphan and went back to her mother's people. She had been the pet of her English grandmother, and finding all the aunts busy, fashionable women, had longed for the tender fostering she had known, and now felt as if only grandmothers could give. With a flutter of hope and expectation, she approached the old house after the long journey was over, leaving the luggage at the inn and accompanied by a faithful nurse. Kate went up the village street and, pausing at the gate, looked at the home where her mother had been born. A large, old-fashioned farmhouse with a hospitable porch and tall trees in front, an orchard behind, and a capital hill for blackberries in summer and coasting in winter close by. All the upper windows were curtained and made the house look as if it was half asleep. At one of the lower windows sat a portly puss, blinking in the sun, and at the other appeared a cat, a regular grandmotherly old cat, with a little black bow perked up behind. Something in the lonely look of the house and the pensive droop of that cat made Kate hurry up the walk and tap eagerly at the antique knocker. A brisk little old woman peered out as if startled at the sound, and Kate asked, smiling, "Does Madame Coverley live here?" "She does, dear. Walk right in," and throwing wide the door, the maid trotted down a long, wide hall and announced in a low tone to her mistress, "A nice, pretty little girl wants to see you, Mum." "I shall love to see a young face. Who is it, Dolly?" asked a pleasant voice. "Don't know, Mum." "Grandma must guess," and Kate went straight up to the old lady with both hands out for the first sight of that sweet old face won her heart. I think things are messed up. I noticed some of the words are misspelled. I'm just correcting them. Lifting her spectacles, Grandma looked silently a minute, then opened her arms without a word, and in the long embrace that followed, Kate felt assured that she was welcome to the home she wanted. "So like my Anna, and this is her little girl. Bless you, my darling. So good to come and see me," said the old lady when she could speak. "Why, Grandma, I couldn't get on without you, and as soon as I knew where to find you, I was in a fidget to be off, but had to do my other visits first, because the uncles had planned it so. This is Dolly, I'm sure, and that is my good nurse. Go and get my things, please, Nursey. I shall stay here until Grandma sends me away." That will never be, dearie. Now tell me everything. It's like an angel coming to see me all of a sudden. Sit close and let me feel sure it isn't one of the dreams I make to cheer myself when I'm lonesome." Kate sat on a little stool at Grandma's feet and, leaning on her knee, told all her little story, while the old lady fed her hungry eyes with the sight of the fresh young face, listened to the music of a loving voice, and felt the happy certainty that someone had remembered her, as she longed to be remembered. Such a happy day as Kate spent talking and listening, looking at her new home, which she found delightful, and being petted by the two old women who would hardly let Nursey do anything for her. Kate's quick eyes read the truth of Grandma's lonely life very soon. Her warm heart was full of tender pity, and she resolved to devote herself to making the happiness of the dear old lady's few remaining years, for at 81 should have the prop of loving children, if ever. To Dolly and Madam it really did seem as if an angel had come, a singing, smiling, chattering sprite, who danced all over the old house, making blithe echoes in the silent room and brightening every corner she entered. Kate opened all the shutters and let in the sun, saying she must see which room she liked best before she settled. She played on the old piano that wheezed and jangled all out of tune, but no one minded, for the girlish voice was as sweet as a lark's. She invaded Dolly's sacred kitchen and messed to her heart's content, delighting the old soul by praises of her new skill, and petitions to be taught all she knew. She pranced to and fro in the long hall and got acquainted with the lives of painted ancestors hanging there, in big wigs or short-waisted gowns. She took possession of Grandma's little parlor and made it so cozy the old lady felt as if she was bewitched. For cushioned armchairs, fur footstools, soft rugs, and delicate warm shawls appeared like magic. Flowers bloomed in the deep sunny window seats. Pictures of lovely places seemed to break out on the oaken walls. A Deni work basket took its place near Grandma's quaint one, and best of all, the little chair beside her own was seldom empty now. The first thing in the morning a kiss waked her, and the beloved voice gave a gay "Good morning, Grandma dear." All day Anna's child hovered about her with willing hands and feet to serve her, loving heart to return her love, and the tender reverence which is the beautiful tribute the young should pay the old. In the twilight the bright head always was at her knees, and in either listening to the stories of the past or making lively plans for the future, Kate whiled away the time that used to be so sad. Kate never found it lonely, seldom wished for other society, and grew every day more certain that here she could find the cherishing she needed and do the good she hoped. Dolly and Nurse got on capitally. Each tried which could sing little Missy's praises loudest and spoil her quickest by unquestioning obedience to her every whim or wish. A happy family, and the dull November days went by so fast that Christmas was at hand before they knew it. All the uncles had written to ask Kate to pass the holidays with them, feeling sure she must be longing for a change, but she had refused them all, saying she should stay with her grandma, who could not go anywhere to join other people's merrymakings and must have one of her own at home. The uncles urged, the aunts advised, and the cousins teased, but Kate denied them all, yet offended no one, for she was inspired by a grand idea, and carried it out with the help of Dolly and Nurse, unsuspected by Grandma. "We are going to have a little Christmas fun up here among ourselves, and you mustn't know about it until we're ready. So you just sit all cozy in your corner and let me riot about as I like. I know you won't mind, and I think you'll say it's splendid when I've carried out my plan," said Kate, when the old lady wondered what she was thinking about so deeply, with her brows knit and her lips smiling. "Very well, dear, do anything you like, and I shall enjoy it, only don't get tired, or try to do too much." And with that, Grandma became deaf and blind to the mysteries that went on about her. She was lame and seldom left her own room, so Kate, when her devoted helpers turned the house topsy-turvy, trimmed up hall and parlors and great dining room with shining holly and evergreen, laid fires ready for kindling on the hearths that had been cold for years, and had beds made up all over the house. What went on in the kitchen only Dolly could tell, but such delicious odors as stole out made Grandma sniff the air and think of Merry Christmas revels long ago. Up in her own room, Kate wrote lots of letters and sent orders to the city that made Nursey hold up her hands. More letters came in reply, and Kate had a rapture over every one. Big bundles were left by the express, who came so often that the gates were opened and the lawn soon full of sleigh tracks. The shops in the village were ravaged by Mistress Kate, who laid in stores of gay ribbon, toys, nuts, and all manner of queer things. "I really think she's lost her mind," said the postmaster as she flew out of the office one day with a handful of letters. "Pretty creeter. I wouldn't say a word against her, not for a mint of money. She's so good to old Mrs. Coverley," answered his fat wife, smiling as she watched Kate ride up the village street on an ox sled. If Grandma had thought the girl out of her wits, no one could have blamed her, for on Christmas Day she really did behave in a most singular manner. "You're going to church with me this morning, Grandma. It's all arranged. A closed carriage is coming for us. The sleigh is lovely, the church all trimmed up, and I must have you see it. I shall wrap you in fur, and we will go and say our prayers together like good girls, won't we?" said Kate, who was in a queer flutter, while her eyes shone, her lips were all smiles, and her feet kept dancing in spite of her. "Anywhere you like, my darling. I'd start for Australia tomorrow if you wanted me to go with you," answered Grandma, who obeyed Kate in all things and seemed to think she could do no wrong. So they went to church, and Grandma did enjoy it, for she had many blessings to thank God for. Amen. Chief among them the treasure of a dutiful, loving child. Kate tried to keep herself quiet, but the odd little flutter would not subside and seemed to get worse and worse as time went on. It increased rapidly as they drove home, and when Grandma was safe in her little parlor again, Kate's hands trembled so she could hardly tie the strings of the old lady's state and festival cap. "We must take a look at the big parlor. It's all trimmed up, and I've got my presents in there. Is it ready, doll?" asked Kate as the old servant appeared, looking so excited that Grandma said, laughing, "We've been quiet so long, poor Dolly don't know what to make of a little gaiety." "Lord bless us, my dear Mum, it's all so beautiful and kinder surprising. I feel as if miracles had come to pass again," answered Dolly, actually wiping away tears with her best white apron. "Come, Grandma," and Kate offered her arm. "Don't she look sweet and dear?" she added, smoothing the soft silken shawl about the old lady's shoulders and kissing the placid old face that beamed at her from under the new cap. "I always said Madam was the finest old lady a-going if folks only knew it. Now, Missy, if you don't make haste, that parlor door will bust open and spoil the surprise, for they are just biling over in there," with which mysterious remark Dolly vanished, giggling. She's got the whole dang family there, what you won't bet. Across the hall they went, but at the door Kate paused and said with a look Grandma never forgot, "I hope I have done right. I hope you'll like my present and not find it too much for you. At any rate, remember I meant to please you and give you the thing you need and long for most, my dear old Grandma. My good child, don't be afraid. I shall like anything you do, and thank you for your thought of me." What a curious noise. I hope the fire hasn't fallen down. Without another word, Kate threw open the door and led Grandma in, only a step or two, for the old lady stopped short and stared about her as if she didn't know her own best parlor. No wonder she didn't, for it was full of people, and such people. All her sons, their wives, and children rose as she came in and turned to greet her with smiling faces. Uncle George went up and kissed her, saying with a choke in his voice, "Merry Christmas, Mother," and everyone echoed the words in a chorus of goodwill that went straight to the heart. Poor Grandma could not bear it and sat down in her big chair, trembling and sobbing like a little child. Kate hung over her, fearing the surprise had been too much, but joy seldom kills. And presently the old lady was calm enough to look up, and we all stretching. I don't know what that's supposed to be, but anyway, stretching out her feeble hands and saying brokenly yet heartily, "God bless you, my children. This is a Merry Christmas indeed. Now tell me all about it and who everybody is, for I don't know half the little ones." Then Uncle George explained that it was Kate's plan and told how she had made everyone agree to it, pleading so eloquently for Grandma that all other plans were given up. They had arrived while she was at church and had been with difficulty kept from bursting out before the time. "Do you like your present?" whispered Kate, quite calm and happy now that the grand surprise was safely over. Grandma answered with a silent kiss that said more than the warmest words, and then Kate put everybody at ease by leading up the children one by one and introducing each with some lively speech. Everybody enjoyed this and got acquainted quickly, for Grandma thought the children the most remarkable she had ever seen, and the little people soon made up their minds that an old lady who had such a very nice big house and such a dinner waiting for them, and in parentheses it says of course they had peeped everywhere, was a most desirable and charming Grandma. By the time the first raptures were over, Dolly and Nursey and Betsy Jane, and in parentheses it says a girl hired for the occasion, had got dinner on the table, and the procession, headed by Madam, proudly escorted by her eldest son, filed into the dining room where such a party had not met for years. It would be quite impossible to do justice to that dinner. Pen and ink are not equal to it. I can only say that everyone partook copiously of everything, and they laughed and talked, told stories and sang songs, and when no one could do any more, Uncle George proposed Grandma's health, which was drunk standing, and followed by 3 cheers. Then up got the old lady, quite rosy and young, excited and gay, and said in a clear, strong voice, "I give you in return the best of grandchildren, little Kate. I give you my word the cheer they gave Grandma was nothing to the shout that followed these words, for the old lady led off with amazing vigor, and the boys roared so tremendously that the sedate Tabby in the kitchen flew off her cushion, nearly frightened into a fit. After that, the elders sat with Grandma in the parlor, while the younger part of the flock trooped after Kate all over the house. Fires burned everywhere, and the long unused toys of their fathers were brought out of for their amusement. The big nursery was full of games, and here Nursey collected the little ones. When the larger boys and girls were invited by Kate to go out and coast. Sleds had been provided, and until dusk they kept it up. The city girls getting as gay and rosy as Kate herself in this healthy sport, while the lads frolicked to their heart's content building snow forts, pelting one another and carousing generally without any policeman to interfere, or any stupid old ladies to get upset as at home in the park. A cozy tea and a dance in the long hall followed, and they were just thinking what they would do next when Kate's second surprise came. There were 2 great fireplaces in the hall. Up the chimney of one roared a jolly fire, but the other was closed by a tall fireboard. As they sat about resting after a brisk contra dance, a queer rustling and tapping was heard behind the fireboard. "Rats," suggested the girls, jumping up into the chairs. "Let's have 'em out," added the boys, making straight for the spot, intent on fun. But before they got there, a muffled voice cried, "Stand from under!" And down went the board with a crash. Out bounced Santa Claus, startling the lads as much as the rumor of rats had the girls. A jolly old saint he was, all in fur, with sleigh bells jingling from his waist, and the point of his high cap, big boots, a white beard, and nose as red as if Jack Frost had had a good tweak at it. Giving himself a shake that set all the bells ringing, he stepped out upon the hearth. Ooh, Lordy, I thought I could read all this. I don't think I can. He stepped out upon the hearth, saying in a half gruff, half merry tone, and I'm going to stop there. Doggone. I thought I'd read more than that, only 22 minutes. Better than 10 that I've been doing. Love y'all. Be sweet, don't be ugly. Hope to see you tomorrow. Bye-bye. Love ya.